The eviction notice shook in Ariel Sutton's hands as she stood in her bare apartment. The white paper felt heavy, like it weighed more than everything she'd already lost. 72 hours. 3 days until the sheriff would come, until her belongings would sit on the curb, until she would officially have nowhere to go. She was 29 years old, college-educated, talented at her work, and about to be homeless. The afternoon sun poured through windows that used to have curtains. Those curtains were gone now, sold 3 weeks ago along with most of her furniture. The apartment echoed with emptiness. Just a mattress on the floor in the bedroom, a folding chair in the living room, and her laptop balanced on a cardboard box. 6 months ago, everything was different. Her event coordination business was growing. She had corporate clients, society weddings, charity galas. Then her business partner, Monica, disappeared overnight with $60,000 of client deposits. The lawsuits came fast. Lawyers, courts, judgments. It didn't matter that Ariel had no idea what Monica was planning. She was equally liable. Her bank accounts were frozen, then emptied. Her credit destroyed. Her reputation shattered. She'd sold everything. Her car. Her jewelry. Her nice clothes. Her grandmother's antique dining table. Everything except what she needed for basic survival. And it still wasn't enough. Ariel walked to the window and looked down at the street below. People walked past, carrying shopping bags, talking on phones, living normal lives. She used to be one of them. Now she was one disaster away from sleeping in her car, except she didn't even have a car anymore. Her phone rang, the sound sharp in the empty room. A known number. Probably another debt collector. She almost sent it to voicemail. But something made her answer. Hello? Miss Sutton? This is Elizabeth Park calling on behalf of Gideon Blackwell. Mr. Blackwell would like to meet with you tomorrow at 10 in the morning to discuss a business proposition. Are you available? Ariel's breath stopped in her throat. Gideon Blackwell. Everyone in the city knew that name. The 38-year-old billionaire had built his technology empire from absolutely nothing and now controlled a company worth over $1 billion. His face appeared regularly in business magazines. His company, Blackwell Technologies, was one of the most successful in the country. She'd coordinated 2 corporate events for his company last year, back when she still had a business before everything collapsed. Both events had been perfect. But why would he want to meet with her now? Yes. I'm available. Excellent. The Blackwell Tower, 52nd floor. Please dress professionally. Someone will meet you in the lobby at 9:45. The call ended before Ariel could ask what this was about. She stared at her phone, trying to make sense of what just happened. Why would a billionaire CEO want to meet with her? Did he know about her business failure? Was he planning to sue her for some unknown reason? She looked down at her worn jeans and faded t-shirt. Professional clothes. That meant digging through the few items she hadn't sold yet. That night, Ariel couldn't sleep. She lay on her mattress on the floor, staring at the ceiling, listening to her neighbors through the thin walls. Questions spun through her mind in endless circles. What did Gideon Blackwell want? What kind of business proposition? Would it be enough to save her? The next morning, she stood in front of her nearly empty closet. She had one good dress left, an emerald green one she'd kept because her grandmother bought it for her. It still looked professional, still fit perfectly. She paired it with her one remaining good pair of black heels and simple silver earrings. The woman in the bathroom mirror looked put together, confident, professional. Nobody would guess she'd been eating rice and canned beans for 3 weeks. Nobody would know she was 3 days from homelessness. The Blackwell Tower rose into the sky like a glass and steel monument to success. Ariel stood on the sidewalk looking up at it, feeling smaller than she'd ever felt in her life. This building probably cost more than she'd earn in 10 lifetimes. The lobby was all polished marble and modern art. Security guards in crisp uniforms stood by the elevators. A woman in a gray suit approached her. Miss Sutton? I'm Elizabeth. Mr. Blackwell is ready for you. Please follow me. The elevator moved smoothly upward, the floor numbers climbing higher and higher. 40, 45, 50, 52. The doors opened onto a reception area with floor-to-ceiling windows that showed the entire city spread out below. This way. Elizabeth led her down a hallway lined with paintings that probably cost more than Ariel's entire year's salary used to be. She stopped at a large wooden door and knocked once before opening it. Miss Sutton is here. Send her in. The office was enormous. Corner windows on 2 sides provided views that stretched for miles. Modern furniture, expensive rugs, original artwork on the walls. And standing by the windows, hands in his pockets, was Gideon Blackwell. He turned as she entered. 6 feet tall with broad shoulders, dark brown skin, close-cropped black hair with gray at the temples. He wore a navy blue suit that fit him perfectly. But it was his eyes that caught her attention. Deep brown, intelligent, focused. Right now they were studying her with an intensity that made her heart race. "Miss Sutton. Thank you for coming." His voice was deep and measured. "Please sit down." He gestured to a leather chair across from his massive desk. Ariel sat, keeping her back straight, her hands folded in her lap. "Professional. Come." Even though her pulse was pounding, Gideon walked slowly across the room. He seemed to be choosing his words carefully. "I'll be direct because I believe honesty is important. I need to hire you for a weekend. 3 days specifically. My sister is getting married in Napa Valley next month. I need a date for the wedding." Ariel blinked. Of all the things she'd imagined this meeting might be about, this wasn't one of them. "You want to hire me as your date?" "Not just any date. I need someone who can convince my family that we're in a serious relationship. Someone who can handle high-pressure social situations with grace. Someone professional who understands this is purely a business arrangement." He stopped pacing and looked directly at her. "You coordinated the Anderson Charity Gala and the Morrison Tech Summit for my company last year. Both events were absolutely perfect. You think quickly on your feet. You're articulate, poised, and you understand how to read a room. Those are exactly the qualities I need for this situation." Ariel's mind spun. This was completely insane. But before she could form a response, he continued. "I'm prepared to pay $25,000 for 3 days of your time. That covers Friday evening through Sunday afternoon. All expenses paid, naturally. First-class travel, luxury accommodations at a 5-star resort, complete wardrobe allowance if needed, anything you require. $25,000. The number hit her like a physical force. That was more than enough to pay her rent debt, stop the eviction, buy some time to rebuild her life. That was salvation. "Why?" The word came out before she could stop it. "Why me? And why do you need to hire someone for this?" Gideon sat down in his chair, leaning back slightly. For a moment, something vulnerable crossed his face. "My family has certain expectations. My sister Rebecca is getting married to a wonderful man named Thomas Green. This wedding means everything to her, and I won't let my personal situation create any drama or distraction from her happiness. My mother has been pressuring me about relationships for years. If I show up alone, the entire weekend will become about my single status. Questions, suggestions, attempted setups. I can't let that happen. And hiring someone is better than just going alone and dealing with it?" "Yes. Because this way I control the narrative. One weekend of a few carefully managed interactions and then it's done. No complicated emotions, no messy aftermath. A clean business transaction." He pulled out a folder from his desk drawer. "I've had my lawyers draft a contract. It covers confidentiality, expectations, compensation, everything. You would arrive Friday evening for a welcome dinner with the family. Saturday includes various wedding events, brunch, rehearsal, dinner. Sunday is the wedding ceremony and reception, then you're free to leave Sunday evening. 3 days total." Ariel stared at the folder. This was completely crazy. Pretending to be someone's girlfriend, lying to his family, play-acting through an entire wedding weekend. Everything about it felt wrong. But $25,000. 3 days from eviction. No other options. She thought about her empty apartment, the eviction notice, the crushing weight of debt that followed her everywhere. She thought about sleeping in shelters, about losing the last shreds of her dignity. "I'll need to read the contract carefully." "Of course. Take your time. Elizabeth has prepared a conference room for you." Ariel spent an hour reading every word of the contract. It was surprisingly straightforward. She would pretend to be Gideon's girlfriend for 3 days. She would attend all wedding events with him. She would be affectionate but appropriate. She would maintain confidentiality forever. In exchange, she would receive $25,000, paid half up front and half upon completion. There were clauses about conduct, about ending the arrangement if either party violated the terms, about non-disclosure. But nothing predatory, nothing dangerous. Just a business deal. When she returned to his office, Gideon looked up from his computer. "Do you have questions?" "Just one. When do I start?" Something that might have been relief crossed his face. "The wedding is in 4 weeks. That gives us time to prepare, to build a believable backstory, to make sure we can pull this off convincingly. Can you come back on Thursday? We'll need to spend time together, get to know each other, create a relationship history that will hold up under family scrutiny." Ariel nodded. "Thursday works." Gideon stood and extended his hand. She shook it, his grip firm and warm. Thank you, Ariel. I'll have Elizabeth transfer the first payment today. $12,500 should appear in your account by this evening. That evening, Ariel sat on her mattress on the floor, staring at her phone. The bank notification glowed on the screen. Deposit, $12,500. She called her landlord immediately and paid everything she owed plus next month's rent. Then she bought groceries, real food, things that weren't rice and beans. She sat at her folding chair with a real meal in front of her and cried. This was wrong. She knew it was wrong. Lying to a nice family, pretending to have feelings she didn't have, treating emotions like a business transaction. But it was also survival. And right now, survival was all that mattered. Have you ever been so desperate that you'd do anything to survive? Would you take an offer like this if your entire life was falling apart? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to see how this story unfolds, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. 3 weeks passed in a strange blur. Ariel met with Gideon twice a week, usually at coffee shops or restaurants, always in public places. They talked about their lives, their histories, building a story that would satisfy his family's curiosity. She learned that he grew up in modest circumstances. His father, Lawrence Blackwell, had been a mechanic. His mother, Patricia, worked as a teacher. They'd saved every penny to help him through college. He'd built his first company at 25 and sold it for $10 million, then used that money to start Blackwell Technologies. Now, 13 years later, he employed 3,000 people and was worth more than $1 billion. She told him about her own childhood, growing up with her grandmother after her parents died in a car accident when she was 7. Her grandmother, Ruth Sutton, had been everything to her. She'd passed away 2 years ago, and Ariel still missed her every single day. She sounds like an amazing woman, Gideon said during one of their meetings. She was. She taught me that kindness matters more than success. That helping people is more important than making money. I try to live by that even when it's hard. Gideon was quiet for a moment. My mother says similar things. She never understood why I work so hard. She thinks I should focus more on relationships, on family, on life outside of business. Maybe she's right. Maybe. But relationships are complicated. Business is simple. You put in effort, you get results. People are. He trailed off, looking out the window. People are unpredictable. Ariel wanted to ask what made him so wary of relationships, but she didn't. This was a job. Getting too personal would make it harder to maintain professional distance. The day before they left for Napa Valley, Gideon sent over 3 large boxes. Inside were clothes, beautiful dresses in bright colors, casual outfits, even pajamas and workout clothes. Everything fit perfectly. There was a note. Elizabeth worked with a stylist based on the sizes you provided. Everything is yours to keep. See you tomorrow. G. Ariel hung the dresses in her closet, still mostly empty. The emerald green dress she'd worn to their first meeting hung next to a ruby red cocktail dress that probably cost more than her monthly rent used to be. Her 2 worlds side by side. That night, she packed carefully, including the contract in her suitcase. Tomorrow she would step into a completely different life. She would pretend to be someone she wasn't, lie to people she'd never met, act out a romance that didn't exist. For $25,000 and the chance to rebuild her life, she would do what she had to do. She just hoped she wouldn't lose herself in the process. The private jet was like nothing Ariel had ever seen. Cream leather seats, polished wood tables, soft lighting that made everything feel warm and comfortable. She'd flown before, of course, but always in economy class, squeezed between strangers with her knees pressed against the seat in front of her. This was different. This was how the other half lived. Gideon was already seated when she boarded, working on his laptop. He looked up and smiled, a genuine expression that made him look younger. Right on time. Please sit anywhere. Can I get you something to drink? Coffee, tea, water, champagne? Water is perfect, thank you. A flight attendant appeared with sparkling water in a crystal glass. Ariel accepted it gratefully, trying not to think about how much this single flight probably cost. As the plane took off, Gideon closed his laptop and turned to face her. We should probably review the story one more time before we land. My family will ask questions and we need our answers to match perfectly. Good idea. They spent the flight going over every detail. They'd met at the Morrison Tech Summit when Ariel was coordinating the event. Gideon had spilled coffee on her notes, and they'd started talking while cleaning up the mess. They'd been dating for 6 months. They were taking things slowly, seeing where the relationship might go. My sister Rebecca will love you, Gideon said. She's been wanting me to find someone for years. She'll probably try to become your best friend immediately. That's sweet. My mother will be polite but observant. She'll watch how we interact, looking for signs that we're really together. My father will just be happy I brought someone. He worries less about the details. And the groom's family? Thomas comes from old money. His parents, Richard and Caroline Green, are very traditional but kind. They'll be welcoming. Thomas has a younger brother, Jeremy, who's around your age. He's friendly, maybe a bit too friendly sometimes. Ariel noted the slight edge in Gideon's voice when he mentioned Jeremy. Interesting. 2 hours later, they landed in Napa Valley. The vineyard resort was stunning. Rolling hills covered in grapevines, a main building that looked like a Mediterranean villa, separate cottages scattered across the grounds. Everything was lush, green, and peaceful. A resort employee met them at the entrance with a golf cart. Mr. Blackwell, Miss Sutton, welcome to Silverleaf Vineyards. I'm Carlos and I'll be assisting you during your stay. Let me show you to your cottage. The cottage was actually a small luxury house. 2 bedrooms, a full kitchen, a living room with a fireplace, and a private terrace overlooking the vineyards. Fresh flowers sat on every table. A basket of fruit and wine waited in the kitchen. Your bedroom is on the left, Gideon said. Mine is on the right. The family dinner is at 7, so we have about 3 hours to settle in. Does that work? Perfect. Ariel unpacked in her room, hanging up the dresses Gideon had provided. The room was beautiful, decorated in soft blues and whites, with French doors opening onto the terrace. She could almost forget this wasn't real. At 6:30 she emerged wearing the ruby red dress. It fit her beautifully, highlighting her curves without being inappropriate. She'd styled her natural curls and applied minimal makeup. Gideon was waiting in the living room, wearing dark gray slacks and a light blue shirt. He looked relaxed, more casual than she'd ever seen him. When he saw her, he stopped mid-motion. You look beautiful. Thank you. You clean up pretty well yourself. He smiled, then held out his hand. Ready? She took his hand and they walked toward the main building together. His palm was warm against hers. For a moment it almost felt natural. The dining room was elegant, with long windows overlooking the vineyards. About 20 people were already there, talking and laughing. The moment they walked in, a young woman with Gideon's same warm brown eyes rushed over. Gideon. She hugged him tightly, then turned to Ariel with a huge smile. And you must be Ariel. I'm Rebecca. I've been dying to meet you. Rebecca was radiant, practically glowing with happiness. She wore a bright coral dress and had her hair in long braids decorated with small flowers. It's wonderful to meet you, Ariel said warmly. Congratulations on your wedding. Thank you. Come on, you have to meet everyone. The next hour was a whirlwind of introductions. Patricia Blackwell, Gideon's mother, was an elegant woman in her 60s with kind eyes and a warm smile. She hugged Ariel like they were already family. It's so good to finally meet you, dear. Gideon has told us so much about you. Lawrence Blackwell, Gideon's father, was a tall man with gray hair and a firm handshake. Welcome, Ariel. Any woman who can make my son smile like that is already special. Thomas Green was exactly as Gideon described. Kind, genuine, clearly in love with Rebecca. His parents, Richard and Caroline, were polite and welcoming. Jeremy, Thomas's younger brother, was friendly and did indeed pay a bit too much attention to Ariel until Gideon subtly steered her away. Throughout dinner, Gideon kept his hand on hers, or rested his arm on the back of her chair, or leaned in close to whisper something that made her laugh. They were performing for an audience, but the touches felt surprisingly natural. So, Ariel, Patricia said over the main course. Gideon told me you're an event coordinator. That must be such creative work. It can be. I love helping people celebrate important moments in their lives. There's something special about being part of someone's happiness. That's a beautiful way to look at it. And how did you two meet? Ariel launched into their rehearsed story about the coffee spill and the conversation that followed. Patricia listened with a smile that suggested she believed every word. And what do you love most about my son? The question caught Ariel off guard. They hadn't rehearsed this part. She glanced at Gideon, then back at Patricia. He's thoughtful in unexpected ways. He pays attention to small details that other people miss. And he's dedicated to the people he cares about, even if he doesn't always show it openly. It was only after the words left her mouth that Ariel realized they were true. Over the past 3 weeks, she'd seen all of those qualities in him. Patricia's smile widened. That's my boy. He's always been like that, even as a child. After dinner, everyone moved to the terrace for drinks and conversation. Ariel found herself talking with Rebecca while Gideon spoke with Thomas and his father. "I'm so glad you're here," Rebecca said. "I've been worried about Gideon. He works too much, doesn't let people in. But with you he seems different. Happier." Guilt twisted in Ariel's stomach. "He's a good man." "He is. He's the best big brother anyone could ask for. When I was in college and struggling with money, he paid my tuition without telling me. I only found out later when I saw a canceled check in his office. He acts tough, but he has the biggest heart." Ariel looked across the terrace to where Gideon stood, laughing at something his father said. The setting sun cast golden light across everything, making the whole scene look like something from a movie. "He's lucky to have a sister who cares about him so much," Ariel said. "We're lucky to have each other. Family is everything, you know? Money comes and goes, success rises and falls, but family is what matters." Later that night, back in their cottage, Ariel changed into comfortable clothes and sat on the terrace. The night air was cool, carrying the scent of grapes and earth. Stars filled the sky in a way they never did in the city. Gideon came out and sat in the chair next to her, holding 2 glasses of wine. "You did great tonight. My family loves you. They're wonderful. Your sister is so happy, and your parents are exactly as kind as you described them. Rebecca's right though. Family is important. I sometimes forget that when I'm buried in work." He took a sip of wine. "Thank you for being here. I know this situation is strange. It's definitely not how I expected my year to go. Mine either. But I'm grateful. You saved me from a weekend of my mother's matchmaking attempts." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, looking at the stars. Ariel found herself relaxing in a way she hadn't in months. The stress of her financial situation felt distant here, like it belonged to a different person in a different life. "Can I ask you something?" Gideon's voice was quiet. "Sure. Earlier when my mother asked what you loved about me, what you said, did you mean it?" Ariel thought about lying, about maintaining the professional distance. But something about the night, the stars, the vulnerability in his voice, made her tell the truth. "Yes, I meant it. Over the past few weeks I've seen those qualities in you. You're more than just a successful businessman." He was quiet for a long moment. "That means more than you know. Most people only see the success, the money, the company. They don't see the person underneath. Maybe you don't let them see. Maybe. It's easier that way. Less complicated. But also lonelier." He turned to look at her, his eyes dark in the starlight. "Yes, it is." Something shifted in the air between them, something Ariel couldn't quite name. For a moment she forgot this was fake, forgot this was a job, forgot everything except the man sitting next to her and the surprising connection she felt. Then Gideon stood, breaking the spell. "We should get some sleep. Tomorrow's a full day. Wine tasting in the morning, lunch with the wedding party, free afternoon, then a casual dinner." "Sounds good." "Good night, Gideon." "Good night, Ariel." In her room, Ariel lay in the comfortable bed and stared at the ceiling. This was supposed to be simple. A business transaction, nothing more. But already, after just one day, she could feel the lines blurring. She'd accepted this job for money, for survival. But now she was starting to wonder what the real cost might be. Morning sun streamed through the French doors when Ariel woke. For a moment she forgot where she was. Then memory returned. Napa Valley, the wedding, the contract. She checked her phone. 8:15. The wine tasting started at 10. She showered and dressed in cream-colored linen pants and a bright turquoise blouse, one of the outfits from Gideon's stylist. When she emerged, she found him in the kitchen making coffee, wearing jeans and a white button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled up. He looked different like this, less like a CEO and more like a regular person. "Morning. Coffee? Please." He poured her a cup and handed it to her with cream and sugar already added, exactly how she liked it. She'd mentioned her preference during one of their planning meetings and he'd remembered. "Sleep well?" "Surprisingly, yes. That bed is incredibly comfortable. Everything here is top quality." Rebecca didn't want a huge wedding, but she wanted it to be special. This place seemed perfect. They ate breakfast on the terrace, fresh pastries and fruit that had been delivered earlier. The morning air was pleasant, not too hot yet, with a gentle breeze carrying the scent of grapes and flowers. "So, wine tasting," Ariel said. "I should probably tell you I don't know much about wine. Neither does most of the family. It's really just an excuse to spend time together. The vineyard will guide us through different varieties, we'll pretend to understand the difference between notes of cherry and notes of plum, and everyone will get pleasantly tipsy by noon." She laughed. "Sounds perfect." They walked to the vineyard's tasting room at 9:45, hands linked. The casual touches were becoming easier, more natural. Ariel had to remind herself it was all part of the act. The tasting room was a beautiful space with exposed wooden beams and large windows overlooking the vines. About 15 people were gathered there, most of the wedding party and immediate family. Rebecca rushed over when she saw them, wearing a yellow sundress that made her glow even brighter. "Good morning. Did you sleep well? Isn't this place amazing?" "It's absolutely beautiful," Ariel said honestly. Thomas joined them, putting his arm around Rebecca's waist. "Morning, you two. Ready to pretend we know what we're talking about when it comes to wine?" "Born ready," Gideon said with a grin. The vineyard sommelier, a cheerful woman named Lauren, guided them through 6 different wines, explaining the characteristics of each one. Ariel found herself actually enjoying it, not so much for the wine itself but for the relaxed atmosphere and laughter. Jeremy, Thomas's brother, somehow ended up next to Ariel during the tasting. He was handsome in a clean-cut way with light brown hair and an easy smile. "So, event coordinator," he said. "That must be stressful work." "It can be. But it's rewarding when everything comes together perfectly." "I bet." "So how did my boring brother's friend here sweep you off your feet?" Before Ariel could answer, Gideon appeared at her other side, his hand settling on her lower back. "I'm very charming when I want to be," he said with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Jeremy laughed. "Right. Well, if you ever get tired of Mr. Serious here, I know how to show a woman a good time." "I'm perfectly happy, thank you," Ariel said, leaning slightly into Gideon's touch. Jeremy moved away to talk to someone else. Gideon's hand remained on her back, warm even through her blouse. "Sorry about him," Gideon murmured. "He's always been like that. Thinks he's charming." "It's fine. I can handle it." "I know you can. You handle everything with grace." The compliment felt genuine, not part of their act. Ariel looked up at him, finding his eyes already on her. For a moment, the room around them seemed to fade. "Next wine," Lauren called out, breaking the spell. "This is our reserve Cabernet Sauvignon, aged for 3 years in French oak barrels." By the time the tasting ended, everyone was relaxed and happy. They moved to the vineyard's restaurant for lunch, long tables set up on an outdoor patio with views of the rolling hills. Ariel found herself seated between Patricia and Caroline, the mothers. They were both lovely women, asking her questions about her work, her life, her family. She told them about her grandmother, how she'd raised her after her parents died. "She sounds like a wonderful woman," Patricia said. "My own mother was like that. Strong, kind, always putting others first." "Family is everything," Caroline added. "It's what we leave behind that matters, not money or success." Ariel thought about her empty apartment back home, about the eviction notice, about the reason she was really here. The guilt pressed down on her chest. "Are you all right, dear?" Patricia asked, noticing her expression. "Yes, sorry. I was just thinking about my grandmother. I miss her." Patricia put a warm hand over Ariel's. "Of course you do. That love never goes away. But she's still with you in everything you do, every choice you make." Ariel blinked back unexpected tears. "Thank you. That's a beautiful way to think about it." After lunch, they had free time until the casual dinner that evening. Most people retreated to their cottages to rest or nap off the wine. Gideon and Ariel walked back slowly, enjoying the warm afternoon. "Your mother is wonderful," Ariel said. "She is. Sometimes I don't appreciate her enough. She's always trying to make sure I'm happy, but I'm so focused on work that I don't always listen. It's never too late to start." They reached their cottage and went inside. The cool air conditioning was a relief after the warm walk. "I'm going to change and maybe lie down for a bit," Gideon said. "We don't have to do anything until dinner at 7. Feel free to relax, read whatever you want." "Sounds good." Ariel changed into comfortable clothes and tried to read a book on the terrace, but her mind kept wandering. She thought about Patricia's words about family and love and what mattered. She thought about her grandmother, who would have been so disappointed to know Ariel was lying to good people. But what choice did she have? She needed the money. She needed to survive. Around 4, her phone rang. A known number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Hello? Miss Sutton? This is Attorney Phillips from Crawford and Associates. I'm calling regarding your case against Monica Henderson." Ariel's stomach dropped. The legal nightmare she'd been trying to escape. "Yes. We've located Miss Henderson. She's been arrested in Nevada on fraud charges related to another business. The district attorney is interested in adding charges related to your case. They'd like you to come in for a statement next week." Will that help me get any of the money back? Possibly. If she's convicted, the court may order restitution. It's not guaranteed, but it's the best chance you have. After the call ended, Ariel sat staring at her phone. Maybe there was hope. Maybe she could recover some of what she'd lost. Maybe things could actually get better. Everything okay? She looked up to find Gideon standing in the doorway, concern on his face. Yes. That was a lawyer about my old business partner. They found her. There might be a chance to get some of the stolen money back. That's good news. Maybe. I'm trying not to hope too much. He walked over and sat in the chair next to her. Hope is good. It keeps us moving forward. Even when things seem impossible? Especially then. They sat quietly for a while, watching the sun move slowly across the sky. Ariel found herself grateful for his presence, for the comfortable silence, for someone who didn't need constant conversation to be good company. Can I ask you something? Ariel said. Why are you really doing this? I know you said you didn't want your mother's matchmaking, but that doesn't seem like enough reason to hire someone. Gideon was quiet for so long that Ariel thought he might not answer. Then he spoke, his voice low. 3 years ago I was engaged. Her name was Veronica Hart. We dated for 2 years, got engaged, started planning a wedding. Then I found out she was only with me for the money. She'd been seeing someone else the entire time, someone without money, her real love. She was going to marry me, take half of everything in an eventual divorce, and go live happily ever after with him. Ariel's heart clenched. Gideon, I'm so sorry. I ended it immediately. Since then I've kept everything simple. Work is straightforward. Business relationships have clear terms. Personal relationships are too messy, too unpredictable, too risky. So you hired me because a fake relationship feels safer than a real one? Yes. And because I'm tired of disappointing my family. My mother wants me to find love, get married, have children. This way for one weekend I can give her what she wants. Even if it's not real. Ariel understood that feeling, wanting to make family happy even when you couldn't give them what they actually wanted. Your mother seems like she'd love you regardless. She would. But that doesn't mean I don't want to make her happy. That's actually very sweet. He smiled, a genuine expression. Don't tell anyone. It would ruin my tough businessman image. Your secret is safe with me. That evening's dinner was casual, a barbecue outside with picnic tables and string lights. Someone brought guitars and people started singing. It was relaxed and joyful, everyone excited about the upcoming wedding. Ariel sat next to Gideon, eating perfectly grilled vegetables and listening to Lawrence tell stories about Gideon and Rebecca as children. Patricia laughed at the stories, adding details her husband forgot. Gideon was always so serious, Lawrence said. Even as a little boy. He'd sit and figure out puzzles for hours while other kids played outside. He got that from my father, Patricia added. Very focused, very determined. Once he decided he wanted something, nothing could stop him. I'm sitting right here, Gideon said, but he was smiling. We know, dear. That's what makes it fun. Rebecca leaned across the table toward Ariel. They'll tell embarrassing stories all night if we let them. Want to go for a walk? Sure. They walked through the vineyards as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Rebecca linked her arm through Ariel's like they were old friends. I'm so happy you're here. Gideon seems different with you. Lighter. Like he's actually enjoying himself instead of just going through the motions. The guilt returned, heavy and uncomfortable. He's a good man. He is. And he deserves to be happy. He spent so many years taking care of everyone else. Our parents, me, his employees. He never takes time for himself. What about Veronica? Rebecca's expression darkened. She was wrong for him from the start. I never liked her, but Gideon wouldn't listen. When he found out what she was doing, it broke something in him. He hasn't really dated anyone since. Until you. Ariel's throat felt tight. If only Rebecca knew the truth. Well, I'm glad he has people who care about him, she said carefully. He does. And now he has you too. Don't let him push you away with his work obsession. He needs someone who'll remind him that life is more than business deals and profit margins. Back at the cottage later, Ariel couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Rebecca's words, about the trust and welcome she'd been shown, about the lie she was living. She got up and went to the kitchen for water. Gideon was there, standing by the window looking out at the dark vineyards. Couldn't sleep either? He asked. No. Too much on my mind. Me too. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Gideon spoke quietly. Thank you. For being here, for dealing with my family, for making this easier than I expected. You're doing an amazing job. They're wonderful people. That actually makes it harder. I know. I'm sorry for putting you in this position. I agreed to it. That's on me. He turned to look at her, his expression serious. Still, I want you to know that I appreciate it. And that after this weekend, you'll never have to see any of us again. You can go back to your life without any complications. For some reason, that thought didn't bring the relief Ariel expected. Instead, it made her sad. Good night, Gideon. Good night, Ariel. In her room, she lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. 3 more days. Then this would all be over and she'd go back to her real life. Back to reality. She just had to keep reminding herself that none of this was real. Saturday morning arrived with bright sunshine and the chirping of birds. Ariel woke feeling surprisingly rested despite her late-night worries. Today was supposed to be light on scheduled events, just a family brunch followed by free time. She chose a bright coral dress for brunch, another piece from the stylist's selections. It felt good to wear beautiful clothes again, to feel put together and confident. In the mirror, she looked like someone who belonged in this world of luxury resorts and wealthy families. Gideon was making coffee again when she came out, already dressed in khaki pants and a green polo shirt. "You look beautiful," he said, and there was something in his voice that made her think he wasn't just saying it for practice. "Thank you. You look nice too." Over coffee they reviewed what they knew about the day. Brunch at 10, then the afternoon was free. The rehearsal dinner wasn't until tomorrow night. "I was thinking," Gideon said, "maybe we could go for a drive this afternoon? There's a small town about 20 minutes from here with some nice shops and a good restaurant. It would give us a break from the wedding crowd." "That sounds perfect." Brunch was held in the resort's main dining room, a bright space with windows on 3 sides. The whole wedding party was there, about 25 people total. Ariel found herself at a table with Patricia, Caroline, and a few of Rebecca's bridesmaids. The bridesmaids were friendly, asking her questions about her work and how she met Gideon. Ariel told their story smoothly now, barely having to think about the details. "It's so romantic," one of the bridesmaids said. "Meeting at work, coffee spills, love at first conversation. Like something from a movie." "Life can surprise you," Ariel said, which was at least true. Patricia watched her with those knowing eyes. "Ariel, dear, could you help me get more coffee?" They walked to the buffet together, away from the tables. "I wanted to tell you something," Patricia said quietly. "I know my son. I know when he's happy versus when he's pretending to be happy. With you he's actually happy. That means everything to me." Ariel's throat tightened. "He's easy to care about." "He is. But he doesn't always let people in. Something happened a few years ago that hurt him badly. He's been protecting himself ever since. But I see the way he looks at you. That's not protection. That's hope." Ariel didn't know what to say. The guilt felt like a physical weight pressing on her chest. "Thank you for sharing that with me," she finally managed. Patricia patted her hand. "I just want you to know that you're good for him. Don't give up on him if he gets scared and tries to push you away. He needs someone who'll stay." Back at the table, Ariel could barely focus on the conversation. Patricia's words kept echoing in her head. She was lying to these people, accepting their trust and warmth while hiding the truth. It felt worse with every passing hour. After brunch, Gideon found her on the terrace. "Ready for that drive?" "Absolutely." The resort provided them with a car, a sleek convertible that Gideon drove with easy confidence. With the top down and wind in her hair, Ariel felt some of the tension ease. This was just a drive, just 2 people enjoying a beautiful day. The town was charming, with a main street lined with small shops and cafes. They parked and walked together, looking in windows, not buying anything, just being present. "Ice cream?" Gideon pointed to a shop with a striped awning. "In the middle of the day?" "Absolutely." They got cones and sat on a bench in the town square watching people go by. Kids played in a fountain. An old couple walked slowly, hand in hand. Life happening all around them. "Can I tell you something?" Gideon said suddenly. "This is the most relaxed I've felt in years." "Really?" "Yes. I'm always working, always thinking about the next deal, the next problem to solve. But right now, sitting here with ice cream melting down my hand, I'm just here. Present. It feels good. You should do it more often." "I should do a lot of things more often." He looked at her. "You make it easy to remember that there's more to life than work. Your mother said something similar this morning. That you need someone who'll remind you life is bigger than business." "My mother is very wise." He paused. "What about you? What do you do when you're not working?" Ariel thought about the past 6 months, about survival mode, about having no time or energy for anything except trying to stay afloat. "Honestly, I used to love to paint. Nothing professional, just for fun. Watercolors mostly. Landscapes and flowers. But I haven't picked up a brush in months. Why not? Life got complicated. When you're worried about where your next meal is coming from, hobbies feel selfish. Gideon was quiet for a moment. After this weekend, when you have some financial stability again, I hope you paint again. Everyone needs something that's just for joy. Maybe I will. They walked more, exploring side streets and finding a bookstore where they spent an hour browsing. Gideon bought her a book on watercolor techniques without asking, just handed it to the clerk with his credit card. You didn't have to do that. I know. I wanted to. Lunch was at a small Italian restaurant with outdoor seating. They ordered pasta and salad and talked about everything except the contract and the wedding. Favorite movies, books they loved, places they wanted to travel. I've always wanted to see Ireland, Ariel said. My grandmother's family was from there originally. She had pictures of green hills and old castles. It looked magical. I've been for business a few times. It's beautiful. You should go. Someday. When I have the money and time. You'll get there. I believe that. The way he said it, with such certainty, made Ariel almost believe it too. They drove back to the resort in the late afternoon, both of them quiet but comfortable. When they reached their cottage, neither of them moved to get out of the car right away. Thank you for today, Ariel said. I needed that. So did I. Gideon turned to face her. Ariel, I want you to know that I don't think of you as just an employee. You've become a friend. This weekend, you've given me something I didn't know I was missing. What's that? Someone to be myself with. Not the CEO, not the successful businessman, just me. Her heart did something complicated in her chest. I'm glad. They went inside and changed for the casual evening ahead. Dinner was optional tonight, just people gathering if they wanted to. Gideon and Ariel decided to stay in, ordering food from the resort's kitchen and eating on their terrace. As the sun set, painting everything in gold and pink light, they talked more. Gideon told her about growing up without much money, about watching his parents work multiple jobs to give him and Rebecca opportunities. That's why I work so hard, he said. I never want to feel that helpless again, unable to provide, unable to help the people I love. Money means security. But it can't buy everything. No. It can't buy genuine connection. It can't buy trust. It can't buy. He trailed off. Can't buy what? Love. Real love. The kind that isn't about what you have but who you are. Ariel thought about their contract, about the $25,000, about the fact that she was literally being paid to pretend to love him. The irony was almost painful. You deserve that kind of love, she said quietly. You deserve someone who sees you, not your bank account. Do you really think so? I know so. These past few days I've seen who you are. You're kind, thoughtful, generous. You care deeply about your family. You're more than your success. Gideon looked at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. And you're more than your circumstances. You're talented, strong, graceful under pressure. You're going to rebuild your life and be even better than before. They sat in silence, the air between them charged with something neither of them wanted to name. I should probably go to bed, Ariel said finally. Big day tomorrow with the rehearsal dinner. Right. Yes. Good night, Ariel. Good night, Gideon. In her room, Ariel touched her lips, thinking about how close they'd been to kissing on the terrace. How much she'd wanted to close that distance. How wrong that would be. This was a job. A contract. She couldn't forget that. No matter how real it was starting to feel. Sunday morning brought a sense of urgency that hadn't been there before. Tomorrow was the wedding. Time was moving too fast. Ariel woke to find a note slipped under her door. Family brunch at 10. Wear something comfortable. We're going on a vineyard tour after. She chose white jeans and a bright blue blouse, pulled her hair back in a ponytail and applied light makeup. In the mirror she looked relaxed and happy. It was getting harder to remember she was acting. Gideon was ready when she came out, wearing jeans and a gray t-shirt that showed off his broad shoulders. He smiled when he saw her. Perfect. You ready? Always. The brunch was livelier than the previous ones, everyone excited about the wedding being so close. Rebecca was glowing, Thomas couldn't stop smiling, and the parents were clearly emotional about their children's happiness. After eating, everyone gathered for the vineyard tour. A guide led them through the rows of grapes, explaining the growing process, the harvest, the winemaking. It was fascinating and beautiful, walking through the neat rows with mountains in the distance. Gideon held Ariel's hand as they walked, their fingers intertwined naturally. Every so often he'd lean down to point something out to her, his breath warm on her cheek. "Look at them," Rebecca whispered to Ariel at one point, gesturing to Gideon talking with his father. "He's so happy. I haven't seen him like this in years." The guilt twisted harder. "I'm glad. You're good for him. Promise me you won't let him mess this up with his workaholic tendencies." "Rebecca. I'm serious. He'll try to push you away because he's scared. Don't let him. You two are good together. Everyone can see it." After the tour, they returned to the main building for lunch, but Ariel found she wasn't hungry. The lying was getting harder. Every kind word, every warm smile, every gesture of acceptance felt like a weight on her conscience. She excused herself and walked toward the cottage, needing space to breathe. "Ariel, wait." Patricia caught up with her on the path. "Is everything all right, dear? You seem upset." "I'm fine. Just needed some air." Patricia linked her arm through Ariel's and they walked slowly together. "I know we've only just met, but I feel I can talk to you openly. May I share something?" "Of course." "When Gideon was with Veronica, I knew something was wrong. A mother knows. But I didn't say anything because I thought I was being overprotective. Then he got hurt and I felt terrible for not speaking up. That wasn't your fault." "Perhaps not. But since then I've watched him close himself off. He works constantly, avoids any real emotional connections, builds walls to protect himself. It's been heartbreaking to watch." They stopped walking and Patricia turned to face Ariel. "But then you came into his life. And I've watched those walls start to crack. I've seen him smile genuinely. I've seen him present in the moment instead of thinking about work. You've given him something precious, hope that he can trust again." Tears stung Ariel's eyes. "Patricia, I know this is a lot of pressure to put on you, but I want you to know how grateful I am that you're in his life. You're the answer to prayers I've been saying for 3 years. Ariel couldn't speak. The guilt was crushing. This wonderful woman was thanking her for lying, for accepting money to pretend to care about her son. Patricia hugged her gently. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you emotional. I just wanted you to know how much you matter to this family already." After Patricia left, Ariel sat on a bench overlooking the vineyards and cried. Not loud, dramatic tears, just quiet ones that wouldn't stop coming. She'd thought this would be simple, pretend for a weekend, take the money, go home. But it wasn't simple at all. These people were real. Their love was real. Their hope was real. And she was lying to all of them. "Ariel?" She looked up to see Gideon standing there, concern all over his face. "What's wrong? Did something happen?" "Your mother. She's so kind. She thinks I'm good for you. She thinks we're real." Gideon sat next to her on the bench. "I know. I'm sorry. This is my fault. We're lying to people who've been nothing but wonderful to us. Your sister thinks I'm going to be part of the family. Your mother thinks I'm the answer to her prayers. This is wrong, Gideon." He was quiet for a long moment. "You're right. It is wrong. I thought I could keep it simple, keep it business, but I didn't account for how good my family is. How welcoming they'd be. How much they'd care about you. What are we going to do?" "I don't know. But right now we're in the middle of Rebecca's wedding weekend. We can't tell them the truth now. It would ruin everything for her. Can we just get through tomorrow? Then we'll figure out the rest." Ariel wiped her eyes. "Okay. For Rebecca. She deserves her perfect wedding. Thank you." He took her hand, not performatively, just as comfort. "For what it's worth, nothing my mother said was wrong. You're good for me. This weekend you've shown me what I've been missing. That's real regardless of how it started." That evening was the rehearsal dinner, the last major event before the wedding itself. It was held in a private dining room with elegant decorations and soft lighting. About 40 people were there, including extended family and close friends. Ariel wore the ruby red dress she'd worn the first night, the one that made her feel confident and beautiful. Gideon wore a dark blue suit that fit him perfectly. They looked like they belonged together. The dinner was beautiful. Toasts were made, stories were told, love filled the room. Thomas's parents spoke about young love and lasting commitment. Lawrence told funny stories about Rebecca as a little girl. Patricia cried happy tears. Then Thomas stood to make a toast. "I want to thank everyone for being here to celebrate with us. Rebecca and I are so grateful. But I especially want to acknowledge Gideon, my future brother-in-law. You've supported us from the beginning, and your happiness means the world to Rebecca. Seeing you here with Ariel, seeing you smile like you used to, that's the best gift you could give us. To family, to love, to new beginnings." Everyone raised their glasses. Gideon squeezed Ariel's hand under the table and she squeezed back. The dinner continued with multiple courses, wine pairings, and laughter. Ariel found herself genuinely enjoying it, the warmth and joy infectious. For a while, she almost forgot about the contract, about the lies, about everything except this moment. Then during dessert, the doors opened and a woman walked in. She was striking, with pale skin, long dark hair, and wearing a black dress that was probably designer. She looked around the room with confidence until her eyes landed on Gideon. Then she smiled, sharp and knowing. Ariel felt Gideon go completely still beside her. "Veronica," he said, his voice flat. The woman walked toward their table, her heels clicking on the floor. Everyone in the room had gone quiet, sensing drama. "Gideon, it's been a while. I heard about Rebecca's wedding and thought I'd stop by to offer my congratulations. We used to be so close after all." Rebecca stood up, her face carefully neutral. "Veronica, this is a family event. I don't recall inviting you. I'm hurt. I thought we were friends." "We're not." Veronica's smile didn't waver. She looked at Ariel with obvious assessment. "And who's this? The new girlfriend? How nice." Ariel stood, channeling every bit of dignity she had. "I'm Ariel Sutton. And yes, I'm with Gideon. Now, if you'll excuse us, we're in the middle of a private family dinner." "How interesting. You know, Gideon used to be so easy to read. But now I can't quite tell if this is real or another one of his business arrangements." The words hit like a slap. Ariel felt the blood drain from her face. Gideon stood, his voice cold. "That's enough. You need to leave. Now." "Or what? You'll call security?" "How dramatic." Veronica looked around the room. "I just think it's fascinating how quickly you've moved on. What was it, 3 years of being single? And suddenly you have a serious girlfriend right in time for a family wedding? That's quite convenient. Get out." Gideon's voice was quiet but dangerous. Thomas stepped forward. "I'll call security." "No need. I'm going." "But Gideon?" "A word of advice. If you're going to fake a relationship, you should probably coach her better on how to react when confronted." Veronica looked at Ariel. "You went pale as a ghost, sweetheart. That's not how a real girlfriend reacts." She turned and walked out, leaving silence in her wake. Ariel sat down slowly, her hands shaking. Around the room, people started talking in low voices, trying to pretend nothing had happened. Rebecca came over immediately. "I'm so sorry. I have no idea how she found out about the dinner. Are you okay?" "I'm fine," Ariel lied. But she wasn't fine. Because Veronica had seen right through them. And now everything was falling apart. What would you do if someone exposed your biggest secret in front of everyone you were trying to impress? Can Gideon and Ariel recover from this? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to see how this drama unfolds. After Veronica's dramatic exit, the rehearsal dinner tried to continue, but the mood had shifted. People made an effort to return to celebration, but tension hung in the air like humidity before a storm. Gideon's jaw was tight, his shoulders rigid. Ariel could see him retreating behind his walls, becoming the closed-off businessman instead of the man she'd been getting to know. Rebecca tried to salvage the evening with another toast, and gradually conversation resumed. But Ariel felt like everyone was watching them, questioning, wondering if Veronica's accusations had any truth. As soon as it was polite to leave, Gideon stood. "We should go. Early morning tomorrow with the wedding." They walked back to the cottage in silence. The night air was cool, stars brilliant overhead, but Ariel barely noticed. Her mind was spinning, replaying Veronica's words, the way she'd looked at them with such knowing satisfaction. Inside the cottage, Gideon went straight to the small bar and poured himself a drink, something he hadn't done all weekend. "I'm sorry," he said without looking at her. "I should have anticipated she might show up. I should have prepared you better." "It's not your fault." "It is. This whole situation is my fault. I brought you here under false pretenses. I asked you to lie to my family. And now Veronica is trying to expose it all, probably hoping to hurt me and not caring who else gets hurt in the process." He drank half the glass in one swallow. "Gideon, I saw your face when she said that about coaching you. I saw how scared you looked. This isn't fair to you. None of this is fair." Ariel walked over to him. "Stop. Just stop. Yes, this started as a contract. Yes, we're lying to your family. But Veronica doesn't know anything for certain. She's guessing, trying to cause problems because she's bitter. She saw through us. Maybe. Or maybe she's just a cruel person who wants to ruin your happiness. Either way, we can't let her win." Gideon finally looked at her. "What do you mean?" "Tomorrow is Rebecca's wedding. She deserves one perfect day without drama. So we're going to go to that wedding and we're going to be convincing as ever." We're going to show your family and Veronica and everyone else that we're together and happy. And after the wedding, after Rebecca and Thomas leave for their honeymoon, then we can figure out what to do about the rest. You'd still do that? Even after what happened? Yes. Because Rebecca doesn't deserve to have her wedding ruined. And because despite how this started, I care about your family. They've been kind to me. Something in Gideon's expression shifted. You're remarkable. You know that. I'm practical. There's a difference. No. You're remarkable. He set down his glass. Can we go outside? I need air. They walked out to the terrace. The night was beautiful, clear and cool, with the vineyard stretching out before them bathed in moonlight. Gideon leaned against the railing, looking out at the view. I've been thinking about what you said earlier about this being wrong, he said quietly. You're right. It is wrong. But something changed for me this weekend. What do you mean? When I hired you, it was purely transactional. A solution to a problem. But spending time with you, talking to you, watching you with my family, somewhere along the way it stopped being fake for me. Ariel's heart started beating faster. Gideon. I know this wasn't part of the contract. I know I'm probably making everything more complicated. But I need you to know the truth. These feelings I have, they're real. Not because I'm paying you, not because we're playing roles. Real because of who you are. She turned to face him fully. You can't mean that. This is just the situation, the romance of the setting, the wine, everything. It's not real. Isn't it? He stepped closer. Tell me honestly. When we talk, when we laugh together, when I hold your hand, does any of that feel fake to you? That's not fair. I know. Nothing about this is fair. But I need to know. Is this only business for you? Only about the money? Ariel wanted to say yes. Wanted to keep the walls up, maintain the professional distance. But standing there in the moonlight, looking into his eyes, she couldn't lie anymore. No, she whispered. It's not only business. I don't know when it happened, but somewhere along the way this became real for me too. And that terrifies me. Why? Because this was supposed to be simple. 3 days, then back to my real life. But now I don't know what's real and what's performance anymore. When you smile at me, I forget this is a job. When you touch me, I forget I'm being paid. And that's dangerous. Gideon reached out and gently tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Maybe it's not dangerous. Maybe it's just honest. You don't know me. Not really. You know what I've told you, but you don't know about the nights I've spent crying because I couldn't pay my bills. You don't know about selling my grandmother's furniture to buy groceries. You don't know how desperate I was when I agreed to this. So tell me everything. I want to know all of it. And somehow, standing there under the stars, Ariel found herself talking. She told him about the eviction notice, about the crushing debt, about feeling like a complete failure at 29. She told him about her grandmother's disappointment she imagined, about the shame of losing everything she'd built. Gideon listened without interrupting, without judging. When she finally finished, he took both her hands. None of that makes you less. None of that means you're a failure. You survived. You fought. You did what you had to do. That takes incredible strength. I lied to your family. No. You played a role I asked you to play. That's on me, not you. I took money to pretend to have feelings for you. And now the feelings are real. That changes everything. Does it? What happens after tomorrow? The contract ends. I go back to my life, you go back to yours. What then? Gideon stepped even closer until they were barely inches apart. What if we didn't have to figure that out right now? What if we just accepted that this weekend something unexpected happened? Something good? Gideon. I'm going to kiss you now. Not because it's in the contract, not because anyone is watching. Because I want to. But if you don't want that, tell me and I'll step back. Ariel should have stepped back. Should have maintained boundaries, kept things professional. But she didn't want to. For the first time in months, something felt right. I want you to kiss me. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to change her mind. Then his lips met hers, gentle at first, then deeper. His hands came up to cup her face and she wrapped her arms around his neck, pulling him closer. The kiss was nothing like the brief pecks they'd shared for appearances. This was real, full of emotion and want and hope. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were breathless. That was... Ariel couldn't find words. Real? Gideon finished. That was real. They stood there holding each other, neither wanting to let go. The night was quiet around them, just the sound of their breathing and the distant rustle of wind in the grapevines. I don't know what happens next, Ariel said quietly. This is all so complicated. Then we take it one day at a time. Tomorrow is the wedding. Let's just focus on that. Give Rebecca her perfect day. Then we'll figure out the rest. Okay. They went inside eventually, but neither of them wanted the night to end. They sat on the couch talking for hours, this time not about backstories or contracts, but about real things. Dreams, fears, hopes for the future. If you could do anything, money no object, what would you do? Gideon asked. I'd open a community center. A place where people could come for help with job applications, resume writing, interview prep. But also where they could take art classes, learn new skills, find community. My grandmother always said that helping people was the highest calling. I'd like to honor that. That's beautiful. And very possible, you know. With the right funding and planning. Maybe someday. Why not now? Why not let me help you? She pulled back slightly. No. I can't take more money from you. That would just be, I don't know, wrong. Why is it wrong to accept help? Because I need to do this myself. I need to rebuild my life on my own terms. That's pride talking. Maybe. But it's important to me. Gideon studied her face. Okay. I respect that. But if you change your mind, the offer stands. Not as charity, but as an investment in something I believe in. Around 2 a.m, they finally said goodnight. At Ariel's bedroom door, Gideon kissed her again, soft and sweet. Sleep well. You too. In her room, Ariel touched her lips and smiled. Everything was complicated and messy and uncertain. But for the first time in a long time, she felt something other than despair. She felt hope. Ariel woke to sunlight streaming through the French doors and her phone buzzing with messages. Rebecca had created a group chat for all the bridesmaids and Ariel, sending excited messages about the wedding day. Today is the day. I'm getting married. I can't believe it. Hair and makeup starts at 9 a.m. in the bridal suite. This is going to be the best day ever. Ariel smiled at the enthusiasm, then got up and showered. Today was about Rebecca. Whatever was happening between her and Gideon would have to wait. She found Gideon in the kitchen, looking tired but happy. He'd clearly not slept much either. Morning. Coffee? Please. He poured her a cup, their fingers brushing as he handed it to her. The touch sent warmth through her whole body. Ready for today? He asked. I think so. Are you? As ready as I'll ever be. My little sister is getting married. It doesn't seem possible. She was just a kid 5 minutes ago. They ate breakfast together, comfortable and quiet. The ceremony wasn't until 4, which meant a long day of preparation and anticipation. At 8:30, Ariel headed to the bridal suite where Rebecca and her bridesmaids were gathering. The room was chaos in the best way, with makeup artists setting up, dresses hanging everywhere, champagne bottles being opened. Rebecca saw her and squealed, running over for a hug. You're here. I'm so glad. I know you're not officially a bridesmaid, but I want you here anyway. You feel like family already? The guilt stabbed again, but Ariel pushed it down. Today was not about her feelings. I'm honored to be here. And you're going to be the most beautiful bride. The morning passed in a flurry of activity. Hair styled, makeup applied, dresses put on. Rebecca looked absolutely radiant in her wedding gown, an elegant white dress with delicate lace and a flowing train. Thomas is going to cry when he sees you, one of the bridesmaids said. I hope so. I cried at the rehearsal dinner just thinking about today. Patricia came in around noon, took one look at her daughter and burst into happy tears. You're beautiful, sweetheart. Absolutely beautiful. Mom, you're going to make me cry and ruin my makeup. Then we'll both have ruined makeup. Come here. They hugged, crying and laughing, surrounded by love. Ariel had to look away, her own eyes stinging. Around 2, Ariel excused herself to get ready. She returned to the cottage to find Gideon already dressed in his tuxedo, looking incredibly handsome. Wow, she said. You haven't even put your dress on yet. Still. Wow. He grinned. I'll return the compliment once you're ready. Ariel had chosen an emerald green gown for the wedding, long and elegant, with a fitted bodice and flowing skirt. When she emerged from her room, Gideon's expression made her feel like the most beautiful woman in the world. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. Thank you. Shall we? They walked to the ceremony site together, a beautiful outdoor space overlooking the vineyards. White chairs were set up in rows, with an archway of flowers at the front. Mountains rose in the distance. It was perfect. Guests were arriving dressed in their finest. Ariel and Gideon found seats on the groom's side, near the front. Patricia and Lawrence sat in the front row, Patricia already dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. At exactly 4 o'clock, music started playing. Everyone stood. The wedding party came down the aisle, bridesmaids in dusty rose dresses, groomsmen in tuxedos. Jeremy winked at Ariel as he passed, earning a glare from Gideon. Then the music changed and Rebecca appeared on her father's arm. The collective gasp was audible. She was luminous, glowing with happiness. Lawrence walked slowly, clearly emotional about giving away his daughter. When they reached the front, he kissed Rebecca's cheek and placed her hand in Thomas's. The ceremony was beautiful. Traditional vows, readings about love and commitment, prayers for their future. Thomas did indeed cry when he said his vows and Rebecca cried too. There wasn't a dry eye in the audience. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Thomas pulled Rebecca close and kissed her deeply. Everyone cheered. "Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. and Mrs. Thomas Green." More cheers, more applause. Rebecca and Thomas walked back down the aisle as husband and wife, both glowing with joy. The reception was held in a large tent nearby, decorated with flowers and lights. Round tables were arranged around a dance floor, with a head table for the wedding party. Dinner was delicious, multiple courses paired with excellent wine. Speeches were made. Lawrence talked about watching his daughter grow up. Caroline welcomed Rebecca into their family. Jeremy made jokes about Thomas finally finding someone to put up with him. Then it was Gideon's turn. He stood, clearing his throat, looking nervous in a way Ariel had never seen. "Rebecca, my little sister. I've been trying to figure out what to say for weeks, and I'm still not sure I have the right words. You've always been the light in our family. When things were hard, when we were growing up without much, you stayed positive. You believed the best in everyone. You taught me that kindness matters more than success." His voice caught slightly and he paused to collect himself. "Thomas, you're getting the best person I know. Take care of her. Love her. Remember that she puts hot sauce on everything, even ice cream. Remember that she cries at commercials. Remember that she needs to call mom at least 3 times a week or she gets anxious." People laughed through their tears. "I love you both. Here's to a lifetime of happiness together." Everyone raised their glasses. Rebecca was crying openly now, and Thomas had his arm around her. The dance floor opened and Rebecca and Thomas had their first dance as a married couple. Then other couples joined them. Gideon extended his hand to Ariel. "Dance with me? I thought you'd never ask." He led her onto the dance floor, pulling her close. They swayed together, her head resting on his shoulder, fitting together perfectly. "Your speech was beautiful," she said. "I meant every word. Rebecca deserves everything good in this world. So do you." He pulled back to look at her. "Do I?" "Yes. Despite what Veronica did, despite your past, you deserve to be happy. I'm starting to believe that might be possible." They danced for several songs, lost in each other. Around them, other couples danced, families celebrated, love filled the air. For a moment, Ariel let herself imagine this was real, that she really was Gideon's girlfriend, that they had a future together. Then she saw Veronica. She was standing at the edge of the tent, watching them with a calculating expression. She'd somehow gotten an invitation or talked her way in. And she was clearly planning something. "Gideon," Ariel said quietly. "Veronica is here." His body tensed. "Where?" "By the entrance. Don't look directly at her." "What is she doing?" "I don't know. But we need to be careful." They kept dancing, trying to look natural. But Ariel could feel Veronica's eyes on them, assessing, judging, planning. After a few more minutes, Veronica made her move. She walked toward them, weaving between dancing couples, her black dress stark against all the bright colors. "May I cut in?" she said when she reached them, her voice loud enough for nearby people to hear. "No," Gideon said flatly. "Come on. One dance for old time's sake. I just want to talk. We have nothing to talk about. Please. I came all this way. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." People were starting to notice the confrontation. This was exactly what Veronica wanted. A scene, drama, attention. Ariel made a split-second decision. "Fine. But I'm staying right here." Gideon looked at her in surprise, but Veronica smiled. "Fair enough." Veronica took Gideon's hand and began swaying to the music, staying close enough for Ariel to hear their conversation. "You look good," Veronica said. "Success agrees with you. What do you want?" "I want to help you. This girl Ariel, she's not what she seems. I've done some research. Did you know she's broke? Her business failed. She's drowning in debt. She's probably only with you for your money." Ariel felt like she'd been punched. Every word was true, and hearing it spoken out loud, especially here, was devastating. Gideon's voice was cold. "Her financial situation is none of your business." "Of course it is. I'm trying to protect you from making the same mistake twice. Gold diggers come in all forms. You mean like you? Veronica's smile faltered. That's not fair. I loved you. No. You loved my money. There's a difference. And Ariel is nothing like you. How do you know? You've only known her a few weeks. Trust me, give it time. Once she's bled you dry, she'll leave just like everyone else. Dance is over. Gideon stepped away from her. Don't come near us again. Don't contact me. Don't show up at my family's events. If you do, I'll have you arrested for harassment. You can't threaten me. That's not a threat. It's a promise. Stay away from my family. He took Ariel's hand and led her off the dance floor, away from Veronica, away from the whispers that had started. They went outside the tent into the cool evening air. I'm sorry, Gideon said. I'm so sorry you had to hear that. She's not wrong though. I am broke. I did fail. My business did collapse. She did her homework. None of that matters. Doesn't it? Your family thinks I'm successful, put together, a good match for you. If they knew the truth, they'd still love you. Because you're kind, genuine, strong. Your bank account doesn't define you. But it's all built on lies, Gideon. This whole weekend. Your family thinks we're really together. They think this is real. And now Veronica is going to tell everyone the truth, and it's all going to fall apart. Let it. The words came out fierce. Let her tell everyone. I don't care anymore. What? He took both her hands, looking directly into her eyes. I don't care if she tells them about the contract. I don't care if everyone knows how this started. Because what's happening now, that's real. My feelings for you are real. Gideon, we can't do this here. Not at Rebecca's wedding. You're right. I'm sorry. He took a deep breath. Let's go back inside. Let's finish celebrating my sister's happiness. Then tomorrow we'll deal with everything else. They returned to the reception, pasting on smiles, pretending everything was fine. But Ariel could feel the cracks forming, the carefully constructed facade starting to crumble. Veronica watched them from across the tent, that knowing smile still on her face. She didn't need to do anything more. She'd planted the seeds of doubt, made people question, started the whispers. And tomorrow, when everything came out, it would all fall apart. The reception continued late into the night. Rebecca and Thomas cut the cake, tossed the bouquet and garter, danced with their parents and guests. It was magical and perfect, exactly what they deserved. But Ariel couldn't shake the feeling that disaster was coming. She kept catching glimpses of Veronica talking to various guests, leaning in close, whispering, planting doubts, sharing information. Around midnight, Rebecca and Thomas prepared to leave for their honeymoon suite. Everyone gathered outside to send them off with sparklers and cheers. Rebecca hugged her family, crying happy tears. I'll see you all in 2 weeks, she said. Don't have too much fun without me. Congratulations, sweetheart, Patricia said, holding her daughter close. I'm so proud of you. Lawrence hugged her too, his voice gruff with emotion. Be happy, baby girl. That's all I've ever wanted for you. Then Rebecca hugged Gideon. Thank you for everything, big brother. And thank you for bringing Ariel. Seeing you happy makes this day even more perfect. I love you, Gideon said. Have an amazing honeymoon. Finally, Rebecca turned to Ariel and hugged her tightly. Take care of him, okay? He needs someone like you. I will, Ariel promised, hoping it wasn't a lie. Rebecca and Thomas drove away in a car decorated with flowers and just married signs. Everyone waved and cheered until they disappeared from view. Then, slowly, the reception began winding down. Older guests left first, then families with children. By 1 in the morning, only about 15 people remained, mostly young friends of the couple who weren't ready for the party to end. Jeremy approached Ariel while Gideon was talking to his father. Hey, want to grab a drink at the bar? I'm good, thanks. Come on. 1 drink. I want to get to know my future sister-in-law better. Jeremy, I appreciate it, but I'm really tired. He leaned in closer, his breath smelling of alcohol. You know, if things don't work out with Gideon, I'd love to take you out sometime. You're way too interesting for my boring friend. Jeremy. Gideon's voice was sharp as he appeared at Ariel's side. Leave her alone. I was just being friendly. You're drunk. Go to bed. Jeremy held up his hands in surrender. Fine, fine. I'm going. No need to get territorial. He stumbled off toward the cottages. Sorry about him, Gideon said. He doesn't know when to quit. It's okay. I can handle it. But the incident had drawn attention. Several people were watching them now, including Veronica, who was talking to Thomas's parents at a nearby table. Let's go, Gideon said quietly. I'm done with this party. They walked back to their cottage in silence, both exhausted. Inside, Ariel kicked off her heels with relief and sank onto the couch. What a day. At least Rebecca got her perfect wedding, Gideon said, loosening his bow tie. That's what matters. It was beautiful. They're going to be so happy together. Gideon sat next to her on the couch, leaving some space between them. The easy closeness from earlier in the weekend felt strained now. About what Veronica said, he began. We don't have to talk about it. I think we do. She's going to keep causing problems. She's probably already told half the wedding guests about your financial situation and the contract. So what do? We tell the truth. Tomorrow before we leave I'll talk to my parents. I'll explain everything, how I hired you, why I did it, how it wasn't fair to them or to you. They'll be hurt and angry, but they deserve honesty. Ariel's chest felt tight. They're going to hate me. No. They might be disappointed in me, but they'll understand you did nothing wrong. You agreed to a job. That's all. But it became more than a job. Yes. And I'll tell them that too. That somewhere along the way I developed real feelings for you. That it stopped being fake for me. Gideon. She didn't know what to say. Part of her wanted to hear more, wanted to believe in the possibility of something real between them. But another part knew it was impossible. Too complicated. Too messy. You don't have to say anything back, he continued. I know this is all overwhelming. But I need you to know where I stand. Whatever happens tomorrow, whatever my family says, whatever Veronica does, my feelings for you are real. Before Ariel could respond, there was a loud knock on the door. Gideon frowned and stood to answer it. Patricia and Lawrence stood outside, both looking serious. We need to talk, Patricia said. May we come in? Gideon stepped aside. Of course. They entered and Ariel stood up, smoothing her dress nervously. This was it. Veronica had told them everything. Patricia sat in one of the chairs, her usual warmth replaced with something harder. Lawrence remained standing, his arms crossed. Veronica Hart approached us tonight, Patricia said. She told us some very interesting things about your relationship. We'd like to hear the truth from you. Gideon moved to stand next to Ariel, a united front. What did she say? That you hired Ariel to pretend to be your girlfriend for the wedding. That you paid her $25,000 to lie to us. That none of this is real. Patricia's voice cracked slightly. Please tell me it's not true. The silence stretched out, painful and heavy. Ariel felt like she might be sick. It's true, Gideon said finally. I did hire Ariel. I paid her to come to the wedding as my date, to convince you we were in a serious relationship. I'm sorry. Patricia closed her eyes, looking physically pained. Lawrence's expression darkened. How could you do this? Patricia said. How could you lie to us like this? To Rebecca, to your family, to everyone? Because I was tired, Gideon said. Tired of the pressure to find someone, tired of the constant questions about my single status, tired of being treated like I was incomplete because I wasn't in a relationship. I wanted one weekend where everyone would just leave me alone about it. So you hired someone? You brought a stranger to your sister's wedding and made us all fall in love with her, knowing it was all fake. It wasn't all fake, Ariel said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. It started that way, yes. But it became real. The time we spent together, the conversations, the connection we formed, that was all genuine. I'm not acting anymore. How can we believe anything you say? Lawrence asked, speaking for the first time. You lied from the moment you got here. You accepted our welcome, our trust, our love, all while knowing it was based on a lie. I know. And I'm sorry. I was desperate for money and I made a bad choice. But the feelings I have now, those are real. I care about Gideon. I care about all of you. You care about the $25,000? Lawrence said bluntly. The words hit like a physical blow. Ariel felt tears sting her eyes but refused to let them fall. That's not fair, Dad, Gideon said. This is my fault, not hers. I'm the one who came up with this plan. I'm the one who convinced her to do it. She's the victim here, not the villain. She agreed to it, Patricia said. She took the money. She lied to our faces for days. Because I was desperate, Ariel said, her voice stronger now. Because I was 3 days from being homeless. Because I had no other options. Yes, I made a mistake. Yes, I should have said no. But I didn't and I can't change that now. All I can do is tell you the truth. I'm sorry for lying, I'm grateful for your kindness and my feelings for Gideon are real. Patricia stood up. I need some air. She walked out onto the terrace without another word. Lawrence looked at his son with disappointment. You broke your mother's heart. You know that, right? I know. Rebecca's going to be devastated when she finds out. Please don't tell her. Not yet. Let her enjoy her honeymoon. She deserves that. Fine. But we're going to have a serious conversation when she gets back. Lawrence followed his wife out to the terrace. Ariel and Gideon stood in the living room, the silence deafening. Everything had fallen apart just like she knew it would. I should pack, Ariel said quietly. I'll leave in the morning. Ariel, wait. What's there to wait for? Your parents hate me. Rebecca is going to hate me when she finds out. Veronica won. Everything's ruined. Not everything. We can still. Still what? Be together? Oh. Your family will never accept me now. Every time they look at me they'll remember that I lied to them. And you'll always wonder if I'm with you or for your money. I would never think that. Yes, you would. Eventually. When things get hard or complicated, you'll remember how we met. You'll remember that I accepted money to pretend to love you. And you'll wonder if anything I say is real. Gideon reached for her hand, but she pulled away. I'm sorry, she said. For everything. For agreeing to this in the first place. For letting it become real. For hurting people who were nothing but kind to me. I'm sorry. She went to her room and closed the door, then leaned against it and finally let the tears fall. Outside, she could hear Gideon talking quietly with his parents, their voices low and strained. This was what she deserved. She'd known from the beginning it was wrong, but she'd done it anyway. For money. For survival. And now she had to live with the consequences. She packed her suitcase slowly, carefully folding the beautiful clothes Gideon had bought her. She left them in a neat pile on the bed. She didn't want to take anything with her that would remind her of this weekend, of how good it had felt to pretend to be someone else, someone deserving of love and acceptance. Around 3 a.m, there was a soft knock on her door. Ariel? Please, can we talk? It was Gideon. I don't think that's a good idea. Please. Just for a few minutes. She opened the door. He looked exhausted, his tuxedo jacket gone, his shirt untucked, his hair disheveled. I talked to my parents, he said. They're hurt, but they'll forgive us eventually. My mother is actually more upset with me than with you. That doesn't make it better. I know. But I needed you to know that we can get through this. If you want to, we can make this work. How? Your family will never trust me. They will. It'll take time, but they will. Because at the end of the day they care about my happiness. And you make me happy. Ariel shook her head. This is impossible. We can't build something real on a foundation of lies. Then we'll build a new foundation. Starting now with complete honesty. I love you, Ariel. I know it's fast, I know it's complicated, but it's true. I love you. The words hung in the air between them. 3 days ago, she would have given anything to hear a man like Gideon say he loved her. But now, covered in lies and guilt and complications, they just felt heavy. You can't love me. You barely know me. I know enough. I know you're strong and kind. I know you care deeply about people. I know you make me want to be better. That's enough. It's not enough. Love needs trust, and how can you trust me after this? How can you trust me? He countered. I'm the one who put you in this position. I'm the one who asked you to lie. If anything, you should be questioning my character, not the other way around. This is too complicated. So we'll uncomplicate it. Starting fresh. No contracts, no money, no lies. Just two people who care about each other, figuring things out one day at a time. It was tempting. So tempting. To believe they could overcome this, build something real, have a chance at happiness. But Ariel had learned to be practical. And practically speaking, this couldn't work. I need to think, she said finally. About everything. I can't make any decisions right now. Okay. That's fair. He stepped back. But please don't leave in the morning without talking to me. Please give us a chance. I'll think about it. He nodded and went back to his room. Ariel closed her door and returned to her packing, moving automatically, her mind spinning. Could they really make this work? Could his family forgive them? Could she forgive herself? She didn't have answers. All she knew was that the sun would rise in a few hours, and she'd have to make a choice. Stay and fight for something that might be real. Or leave and protect herself from more pain. Either way, nothing would ever be simple again. Morning came too soon. Ariel woke after maybe 2 hours of sleep, her eyes puffy and her heart heavy. The cottage was quiet. She showered and dressed in simple jeans and a white t-shirt, then finished packing her suitcase. It was time to leave. She rolled her suitcase into the living room and found Gideon sitting on the couch, still wearing yesterday's clothes. He looked like he hadn't slept at all. You're really going? He said, seeing the suitcase. I think it's best. Best for who? For everyone. Your family needs time to heal without me here as a reminder. You need time to figure out what you really want without the pressure of this situation. And I need to go home and fix my life. Gideon stood up. I know what I want. A real chance at something meaningful. Based on what? 4 days of pretending? That's not enough to build a relationship on. Then let's build one properly. Let me take you to dinner when we get back to the city. Let me court you the right way. No contracts, no lies, just dating like normal people. We're not normal people. You're a billionaire CEO. I'm broke and trying to rebuild from nothing. We live in completely different worlds. So, that doesn't mean we can't be together. Yes, it does. Eventually you'll realize that. Eventually you'll see that I don't fit into your world and you'll move on to someone more appropriate. Someone with money and success and the right connections. That's not who I am. Maybe not now. But Veronica said it herself. I'm desperate and broke. How long before you start wondering if I'm with you for money? I would never wonder that. You say that now. Stop telling me how I'll feel in the future. I'm telling you how I feel right now. I love you. I want to be with you. Not because of this weekend, not because of some temporary feelings, but because of who you are. The real you, not the version you're pretending to be. Ariel felt her resolve weakening. She wanted so badly to believe him, to believe this could work. What about your family? They'll come around. My mother is hurt, but she's also understanding. She knows I made mistakes. She'll forgive us both, given time. And Rebecca? Will be upset at first, but she loves me. She'll forgive me. And she'll see how much I care about you. You're very optimistic. I'm hopeful. There's a difference. Hope means I know it won't be easy, but I believe it's worth trying. There was a knock at the door. Gideon opened it to find Patricia standing there, looking tired but calmer than last night. May I come in? Of course. Patricia entered and looked at Ariel's suitcase. You're leaving. Yes. I think it's best. May I speak with you privately? Just for a few minutes? Ariel glanced at Gideon, who nodded encouragingly. Okay. They walked outside to the terrace. The morning was beautiful, the vineyards peaceful in the soft light. It seemed wrong that everything could look so perfect when everything felt so broken. Patricia sat in one of the chairs and gestured for Ariel to sit too. I was up all night thinking, Patricia said. About you, about Gideon, about this whole situation. And I realized something important. What's that? That I was so focused on feeling betrayed that I wasn't seeing the full picture. Yes, you both lied to us. Yes, that hurt. But I'm also the one who put that pressure on Gideon in the first place. For years, I've been pushing him to find someone, to be in a relationship, to give me grandchildren. I made him feel like being single was somehow failing. That's not your fault. It is partly. I created a situation where he felt like he had to lie to make me happy. That's on me. Patricia reached over and took Ariel's hand. And you, dear, you were just trying to survive. I can't fault you for that. We all do what we have to do when we're desperate. But I shouldn't have lied to you. To any of you. No, you shouldn't have. But you did, and now we have to decide what to do about it. We can hold on to the hurt and anger, let it destroy any chance of moving forward. Or we can forgive, learn from it, and see what happens next. Ariel felt tears welling up. I don't deserve your forgiveness. None of us deserve grace, dear. That's what makes it grace. Patricia squeezed her hand. I saw the way you looked at my son this weekend. That wasn't acting. Those feelings were real. And I saw the way he looked at you. That's real too. But how can you trust that? After everything? Because I'm his mother. I know when he's genuinely happy versus when he's faking it. This weekend he was genuinely happy. That's worth something. Even if it started with lies? Even then. What matters is where you go from here, not where you came from. Ariel wiped at her eyes. I don't know what to do. Then I'll tell you what I think. I think you should stay. Not here at the resort, but in the city. Give this relationship a real chance. Date my son properly. Let him show you who he is when there's no contract, no pressure, no pretending. And let him see the real you too. What if it doesn't work? Then at least you'll know you tried. But if you leave now, you'll always wonder what if. And so will he. They sat in silence for a while, watching the sun rise higher over the vineyards. I'm scared, Ariel admitted. Of course you are. Love is terrifying. But it's also the most beautiful thing we get to experience in this life. Don't let fear steal that from you. What about Lawrence? And Rebecca when she finds out? Lawrence will follow my lead. He's upset, but he'll forgive. And Rebecca will understand, eventually. She loves her brother. She wants him to be happy. If you make him happy, she'll accept you. That's a lot of faith. That's what family does. We have faith in each other, even when it's hard. Patricia stood up and pulled Ariel into a hug. Give my son a chance. Give yourself a chance. See what happens when you build something real. Back inside, Gideon was pacing nervously. He looked up when they entered. So? Ariel looked at her suitcase, then at him, then at Patricia's kind, understanding face. I'll stay, she said quietly. Not here. But I'll stay in the city. We can try this properly. Gideon's face lit up. Really? Really? No promises that it'll work. But I'm willing to try. He crossed the room in 3 strides and pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. Thank you. Thank you for giving us a chance. Over his shoulder, Ariel saw Patricia smile and slip out the door, giving them privacy. I'm still scared, Ariel said into his chest. So am I. But we'll figure it out together. They spent the rest of the morning talking about practical things. Ariel would fly home that afternoon. Gideon would follow the next day. They'd have dinner later in the week, somewhere quiet where they could talk without the pressure of family and weddings and contracts. They'd start over, building something new and honest. Before she left, Ariel went to find Patricia and Lawrence to say goodbye properly. They were having breakfast on the resort's main terrace. Thank you, Ariel said to them both. For your kindness, for your forgiveness, for giving me a chance. Patricia hugged her warmly. Take care of yourself, dear. And take care of my son. I'll try. Lawrence shook her hand, his grip firm. Hurt him again and we'll have problems. But treat him right and you'll always be welcome in this family. I understand. The car to the airport arrived at noon. Gideon walked her out, carrying her suitcase. Call me when you land? He asked. I will. And we're still on for dinner Thursday night? Yes, Thursday. He kissed her softly, right there in the driveway with other guests watching. A real kiss, not for show, just for them. I'll be counting the days. Me too. The drive to the airport was quiet. Ariel looked out the window at the beautiful vineyards rolling past, thinking about everything that had happened. A week ago she was broke and hopeless. Now she had money in her bank account, a chance at a real relationship and hope for the future. It wasn't the way she'd imagined things happening. But maybe that was okay. Maybe the best things in life come when you least expect them. On the plane, she pulled out her phone and opened her banking app. The second payment from Gideon had arrived that morning, $12,500. Combined with the first payment, she now had enough money to pay off her debts, secure her apartment and start rebuilding. But she didn't feel the relief she'd expected. Instead, she felt uncomfortable. The money represented the lie, the contract, the thing that had almost destroyed something beautiful before it could begin. She made a decision. She'd pay off her debts, but then she'd start paying Gideon back. It didn't matter that he didn't need the money. It mattered that she needed to do it. To prove to herself and to him that she wasn't with him for his money. When the plane landed, she had a message waiting. Made it home safely. Already missing you. Gee. She smiled and typed back, miss you too. See you Thursday. At her apartment, everything looked different. The bare walls, the empty rooms, the folding chair. It was still her reality, but now it felt temporary instead of permanent. Like a starting point instead of an ending. She spent the next few days job hunting, updating her resume, reaching out to old contacts. Several people were willing to give her a second chance, willing to believe that Monica's fraud wasn't Ariel's fault. Thursday evening arrived. She'd spent hours getting ready, trying on different outfits, doing her hair 3 times. Finally, she settled on a simple green dress and minimal jewelry. Gideon picked her up at 7, wearing dark slacks and a blue shirt, looking nervous and excited. You look beautiful. Thank you. You look very handsome. They went to a quiet French restaurant, nothing too fancy or showy, just good food and intimate atmosphere. Over wine and dinner they talked about real things. Their childhoods, their dreams, their fears. I want to start a foundation, Gideon said. Something focused on helping people rebuild after financial disasters. Providing resources, education, support. Something that could have helped you when your business collapsed. That's a wonderful idea. Would you help me? You understand what people in that situation need. Your perspective would be valuable. I'd love to, but I can't take money from you. Not anymore. This wouldn't be charity. This would be a job. Real employment with a salary and benefits. You'd be earning it. Ariel thought about it. Can I think about it? I want to make sure I'm making the decision for the right reasons. Of course. No pressure. They talked about other things. His company, her job search, movies they wanted to see, places they wanted to visit. Easy conversation, natural connection. This feels different, Ariel said as dessert arrived. Better? Because it's real? Yes, because it's real. After dinner, Gideon drove her home and walked her to her door. I had a wonderful time tonight, he said. So did I. Can I see you again? Maybe this weekend? I'd like that. He kissed her goodnight, sweet and gentle, full of promise. Over the next few weeks, they saw each other regularly. Dinners, movies, walks in the park, coffee dates. Normal relationship things, building a foundation of trust and understanding. Patricia called Ariel once a week, checking in, offering support. You're good for him, dear. I can see it. 6 weeks after the wedding, Rebecca and Thomas returned from their honeymoon, tanned and happy. Gideon invited Ariel to family dinner, where he planned to tell Rebecca the truth. Ariel was nervous, but Patricia had assured her it would be okay. At dinner, after everyone had eaten and relaxed, Gideon cleared his throat. Rebecca, Thomas, there's something I need to tell you about the wedding. He explained everything. The contract, the lies, Veronica's interference, the truth coming out. Rebecca listened quietly, her expression unreadable. When he finished, there was a long silence. Then Rebecca looked at Ariel. Did you really take money to pretend to date my brother? Yes. I'm sorry. I was desperate and I made a bad choice. But you care about him now? For real? Yes. Very much. Rebecca thought about this, then turned to Gideon. Are you happy? Yes. And you really love her? Yes. Then I forgive you both. What matters is that you're happy now. The past is the past. Just like that, the last piece fell into place. 6 months later, Ariel sat in her new office, looking out the window at the city below. The office was modest, nothing like Gideon's corner suite, but it was hers. She was the director of the Blackwell Rebuilding Foundation, helping people recover from financial disasters. The work was meaningful and challenging. Every day she met with people who were where she'd been 6 months ago, desperate, hopeless, lost. And she helped them find their way forward, just like Gideon had helped her. She'd paid him back every penny of the $25,000. It took 5 months of making payments from her salary, but she'd done it. He tried to refuse the money, but she'd insisted. I need to do this, she told him. For me. He'd understood. That was the thing about Gideon. He always understood. Her phone buzzed with a text. Lunch at the usual place? Miss you. She smiled and typed back, be there in 10 minutes. They met for lunch at a cafe halfway between their offices, a routine they'd established early on. Today, Gideon was already there when she arrived, sitting at their usual table by the window. Hey, beautiful. Hey, yourself, handsome. They ordered sandwiches and salads and talked about their mornings. Easy, comfortable, real. My mother called this morning, Gideon said. She wants to know when we're coming for Sunday dinner again. We were just there last week. She likes having you around. Says you make the family complete. Ariel's heart warmed. Patricia had become like a mother to her, calling regularly, inviting her to family events, treating her like she'd always been part of the family. How about this Sunday? I'll bring dessert. Perfect. She'll love that. After lunch, they walked through a nearby park, holding hands, enjoying the spring afternoon. Life had settled into something beautiful and normal. Can I ask you something? Gideon said as they walked. Always. Do you ever regret it? Taking the contract? The way we met? Ariel thought about it. No. I mean, I wish I hadn't had to lie to your family. I wish we could have started differently. But if things had been different, we might never have met at all. So no, I don't regret it. Good. Because I don't either. You saved me, Ariel. You saved me too. We saved each other. They stopped walking and Gideon turned to face her fully. I love you. Not because of how we met, not because of what you've done for me, just because of who you are. You're kind, strong, generous, real. You make me want to be better. You remind me that life is about more than work and success. You're my favorite person. I love you too. More than I thought I could love anyone. He kissed her right there in the park, not caring who saw them. That evening, Ariel had dinner with Rebecca and Thomas at their new apartment. They'd become close friends over the past few months, getting together regularly. So when's my brother going to propose? Rebecca asked over wine. Rebecca. Ariel felt her face heat up. What? It's been 6 months. You two are clearly in love. Why wait? Because we're taking things slow. Building a real foundation. You have a real foundation. You've met each other's families. You work together. You're basically living together half the time anyway. We're not rushing into anything. Okay. But when he does propose, I get to help plan the wedding. Deal? Deal. Later, back at her apartment, Ariel thought about Rebecca's question. Was she ready for marriage? Did she want that with Gideon? The answer surprised her. Yes. Yes, she did. But she knew Gideon was being careful, not wanting to rush her, giving her time to be sure. That was who he was. Patient, thoughtful, always considering her feelings. 3 months later they went back to Napa Valley. The same vineyard where Rebecca had gotten married, where everything had started and fallen apart and come back together. They walked through the vineyards in the evening, the sun setting over the mountains, painting everything gold and pink. Do you remember the first time we walked here? Gideon asked. I remember being so nervous. Trying to act like your girlfriend, trying not to mess up the performance. I remember thinking you were the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. And being scared that I was starting to have real feelings when this was supposed to be just business. They stopped walking at the same spot where he'd told her about Veronica, where everything had started to become real. Ariel Sutton, Gideon said, taking both her hands. 9 months ago, I hired you to pretend to be my girlfriend for a weekend. It was the best decision I ever made, even if it was for the wrong reasons. Because it brought you into my life. He dropped to one knee, pulling a small box from his pocket. I'm not hiring you this time. I'm not offering you a contract or money or a business arrangement. I'm just asking if you'll be my partner for real, for always. Will you marry me? The ring was beautiful, an emerald surrounded by diamonds, but Ariel barely saw it. She was too focused on his face, on the love and hope in his eyes. Yes, absolutely yes. He stood and kissed her, both of them laughing and crying at the same time. The sunset painted them in golden light, like a scene from a movie, except this was real. This was real and forever. The wedding was small, just family and close friends, held in a garden in early autumn. Rebecca was the maid of honor, crying through the entire ceremony. Patricia and Lawrence sat in the front row, beaming with joy. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, there was silence. No Veronica, no drama, no complications. Just love and joy and hope. I do, Ariel said when her turn came. I do, Gideon echoed. I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride. And he did, kissing her deeply while everyone cheered. At the reception, Patricia pulled Ariel aside for a hug. I'm so happy for you both. You've given my son his life back. You've given him joy. He's given me my life back too. We're even. That's what love does. It heals us. It makes us whole. Lawrence made a toast. To my new daughter-in-law. Thank you for seeing past the money and success to the man underneath. Thank you for loving my son for who he is. Welcome to the family. Everyone raised their glasses. Rebecca gave a toast too. To my brother and my new sister. You two have shown me that love can come from the most unexpected places. That sometimes the wrong start leads to the right ending. I love you both. As the reception continued, Ariel found herself standing at the edge of the party, watching everyone dance and celebrate. Gideon came up behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. What are you thinking about? He asked. About how different my life is now compared to a year ago. About how desperate I was. About how I almost let fear stop me from accepting something beautiful. I was thinking the same thing. About how lonely I was. About how I'd given up on finding real love. About how lucky I am that you walked into my office that day. We're both lucky. We're both blessed, he corrected. By hope, by second chances, by love that refuses to give up. They danced together as the sun set, surrounded by family and friends, building a future neither of them had planned but both of them wanted. Love hadn't been simple. It hadn't been easy. But it had been real and worth fighting for. And in the end that was all that mattered. 5 years later, Ariel and Gideon sat on their back porch, watching their 3-year-old daughter Ruth, named after Ariel's grandmother, play in the yard. The Blackwell Rebuilding Foundation had expanded to 5 cities, helping thousands of people rebuild their lives. Do you think we should tell Ruth about how we met? Ariel asked. When she's older? Gideon thought about it. Yes, all of it. The contract, the lies, the mess. And how we chose to build something real from a false start. She might judge us. Or she might learn that mistakes don't define us. That what matters is what we do after the mistake. Ruth ran over, holding a flower she'd picked. For you, Mommy. Thank you, sweetheart. It's beautiful. Patricia and Lawrence arrived for Sunday dinner as they did every week. Rebecca and Thomas came too with their 1-year-old son. They ate together, talked and laughed, told stories, made memories. This was family. This was home. This was love. And it had all started with a desperate phone call, a risky contract, and two people brave enough to choose hope when everything seemed hopeless. Sometimes the best love stories don't start with love at all. Sometimes they start with survival. And sometimes, if you're very lucky and very brave, survival turns into something beautiful.